But if you have a Jeff or a Thor on your team, or a Wanda or a Moon Knight, you're most likely going to lose that game. I can like almost guarantee you it. You're most likely going to lose that game.
All right, we got Thor next. I think Thor is fucking dog shit, dude. I think Thor is so bad, man. Like, listen, you can get value on Thor, but he just takes so much damage. Yo, get this shit off my screen. What the frick? Thor is just ass, guys. He's just, like, I don't know, man. Maybe he's C tier. Like, you can get value on Thor, make no mistake. He's just so easy to counter, and if Wolverine is not banned, he's unplayable. Like, actually unplayable. They gotta take another look at this character and see what they can do to make him a little bit more fluid. Not infinite sustain, just a little bit more fluid, okay?
Now, what would you put Thor? Thor did get recent buffs. They're trying to bring him back into the game.
Yeah, I mean, you know it. I know it. Everyone knows it. This character is fucking D for dog shit.
Really?
You could find Thor at a dog park and scrape him off your fucking shoe. This character is so bad. He could legit have 800 base HP and he'd still be the worst hero in the game.
He does a lot of damage.
Yeah, he does. Still dog shit. It's like Moon Knight. He does a lot of damage too. Still dog shit.
I don't think tanks are bad at all. I think all the tanks are pretty good, except that's actually not true. The tanks that definitely I've not seen any success with are Thor. Thor kind of just fucking blows now. And the reason why I think Thor blows is because they never gave back his survivability, which I kind of expected them to do after they took it away and gave people a chance to learn it.
Season 3 of Marvel Rivals has been out for about a week now, and I want to give some of my thoughts on Thor this season and how I feel about the game in general. As you just saw, the majority of people think that Thor is really bad right now, and I would have to agree. I've been a Thor player for the majority of my time on this game, and without a doubt, this is the worst he's felt since launch. This game has a pretty bad problem with power creep, and it seems like each subsequent hero they add or rework in some way just makes it that much harder to get value on Thor. I'm still having a lot of fun playing Thor, but that's just due to my matchup knowledge and having hundreds of hours under my belt, so I know how to work around his counters that would make the game not so fun for me. I recently did a couple VOD reviews for my subs over on Twitch, and I noticed that the average Thor player not only doesn't know the matchups and interactions between the heroes that well, but their knowledge of Thor's cooldowns and combos aren't really there either. Since the game came out, this lack of players understanding how to get the most value out of Thor has led the majority of the community to believe that he is a throw pick. And with all the crazy stuff in the game right now, you can definitely make a good argument that Thor is a throw pick right now. But I personally don't think so. That being said, I feel like Thor isn't much better or worse than he was in the last patch, and I still got some pretty decent value out of Thor last patch, so he's in a pretty weird spot right now. The patch notes were pretty underwhelming, and not a lot of things were changed that directly affect Thor himself, but there were some indirect things added to the game that make it a bit harder for Thor. The meta last split was really heavy into poke, which is bad for Thor, and even caused his win rate to drop into the negatives for the first time since this game is released. With that heavy poke, and with the addition of Jean Grey, a pretty good poke hero, Thor is now even worse to play than before. On top of that, Wolverine got a pretty good new team up that makes it harder for Thor. You know, Namor got a pretty good buff. He can like one-shot 250s now. And we're now running into the issue that there are too many things to ban, especially when both teams can ban the same thing. Something that shits on Thor and just tanks in general will slip through the bans almost every game, and it's really just not a fun time. I don't think that we should have more bans, but I think the ability to mirror ban in a game like this is pretty dumb, where competitive play is like taking a backseat and hero fantasy is a lot more prioritized. I know that sounds kind of like counterintuitive, but I think that we should just not have mirror bans. I want heroes to be fun and kind of strong and engaging to play, but the fact that we can mirror ban in a game like this is crazy. I also want to get into my thoughts on the Thor changes now that I've had about a month to get used to them, and they're pretty much done changing them for now. Not much has changed since my last video on the changes, but I did do a push to eternity, solo queuing only playing Thor and Human Torch. I personally don't really mind the changes at this point because I've already adapted to them, and it's really hard for me to complain about them when I'm still finding some form of success with them, and complaining wouldn't really get me anywhere at this point anyway. A lot of players called me dog shit for saying the changes were really bad and nonsensical, and I didn't really mind because I knew that good Thor players would still have a pretty good time despite NetEase not really having a clear direction for the hero. It was kind of funny seeing people in the comments saying that they only take Thor advice from certain creators when I've absolutely shit on them in ranked using Thor. But that kind of just, I don't know, I kind of just let it go because this player base is so unintelligent that they can see me do some shit like this live, you know, shit on their favorite creator and just still say I'm a bad player. So I don't know. In addition to that, when I made a video on Flat's take on the Thor changes and disagreed, people called me everything from a clout chaser to just outright racist stuff. But now that every other creator is saying Thor is bottom tier and the worst tank in the game, Flats is saying the same thing, and now the same brain dead viewers are parroting that. What happened to the Thor is getting a major buff and the Chromix is just low elo? He doesn't know what he's talking about. Now that Flats got what he wanted and isn't satisfied with where Thor is, he's now saying what I've been saying all along, and that the survivability nerfs were in fact a big deal. I don't know what to call this phenomenon of just like unintelligent people that blindly listen to content creators without forming their own opinion other than just brain rot. There's just no way I can take anyone seriously when I've witnessed this hive mindset, you know, drone behavior multiple times in the community. I genuinely just like want to know if something shifted in the air for people to finally just like reach the conclusion that I came to over a month ago, or if this is just some huge rage bait that I'm just not brain rotted enough to understand. But yeah, another thing I wanted to get into is where I'm at with the game as a whole right now. At the end of season 2.5, I decided that I really wanted to actually try and rank up and hit Eternity, because at that point the game kind of opens up for content creators. Once you get around that higher elo range, you queue into other content creators and it makes it great for growth and, you know, getting their reactions or just posting you competing with and against them and making connections that way. Not only that, but the lobbies are generally more competitive and that makes for great content as well. Since I actually started playing the game to rank up, I've played with countless content creators and I have to say that I've not had a singular bad experience yet. You know, just the other day I queued into Silly Spark a couple times and I let him know I'm a big fan of his content, and I felt glad that I could potentially make another content creator's day a bit better by just showing some love in game. Oftentimes I get recognized in game and I can't lie, it does make me feel good. It does, you know, brighten the day a little bit. I can't even cap to y'all niggas, bruh. But that aspect of the game around higher elo, I really enjoy. But everything else just kind of fucking sucks, bro. Like at high elo, creativity goes to die. You can't really play your off meta pick without somebody constantly flaming. You know, slurs and voice chat are pretty common. And no one really sounds like they're having a lot of fun. This even rubbed off on me, and it made daily streaming really fucking tedious, and I barely even wanted to play the game, let alone stream this shit. I was so irritated with the quality of my matches and my teammates sometimes that it really made me lose sight of why I play the game and make content in the first place. I never really flame people in voice unless they blatantly flame me first for no reason. But even just getting to that point over a video game is really dumb when you take a step back and just examine the bigger picture. I would like to be a more kind person and grinding ranked for a couple hours every day and occasionally pulling like 10-12 hour streaming rank sessions. It's just not a recipe for that kindness, bro. It's just not. Something else that I don't see a lot of people talking about is the amount of top 500 smurfs that you play around that, you know, low eternity level. But once you reach a certain skill in the game, smurfs aren't that big of an issue for you. But it's just something that no one talks about, and I think that low elo players need to understand. A lot of one above all players have multiple accounts sitting in one above all, and when they don't feel like playing on their mains, they're in eternity, you know, having fun with the game. I think what they're doing is fine, probably is really relaxing to just play the game to have fun from time to time, but I just want low elo players to realize that's what's going on. These absolutely cracked out players are not smurfing in low elo, and they're just on alt accounts in a similar elo to their main. And even when they do, from my experience, they're not really playing on their main heroes. Also, on my climb to eternity, I went from 10 elo off all the way down to GM1, bruh. I legitimately queued up, like all the way up, went back down and back up an entire rank because I just felt like, oh shit, I gotta stream today. You know, I don't want to break my streak. But there were so many days in the past month where I genuinely did not feel like playing, and I kind of forced myself to because I felt the need to stream and grind for a fucking PNG logo next to my name, which is like really dumb. You know, thinking back at it, just holy fuck, bro, don't do it. My advice to anyone looking to climb and maybe reach a new peak is to not do what I did. You would be so much better off spending your time, VOD reviewing, getting coaching, watching, people better than you, and actually doing the small things to improve rather than just tilt queuing. I've also been seeing a lot of streamer tournaments popping up, and I've been asked a couple times if I would try and be in any of them, and I don't think that I will. I just feel like that's not my lane in terms of, my online presence, and I'm just not the typical, loud, entertaining, funny streamer. I'm just a calm person to watch if you want to chill and watch some decent gameplay. I feel like that's contributed to a lot of my success on YouTube, where people have longer attention spans and more insightful things to say in the comments than say on a platform like TikTok. I'm also not that big on TikTok, and that's how a lot of these creators make connections with other creators and build certain audiences to get into events like that. I'm a big fan of some of these guys, and I respect what they do, but I just can't play up my personality to try and fit in for an opportunity like that. I'd rather just focus on what I'm already doing with my own platform and continue to grow how I've been growing. The last thing I want to cover this video is where I'm at in terms of future content. A couple of weeks ago on my birthday, I uploaded this Human Torch video that did really well. Did not expect it at all. I think it's at like 15K right now. Typically when I upload videos where I'm not playing my one trick, they don't perform well, and that's completely understandable, but this Torch video really surprised me. Since people are finally catching on to Torch being pretty fun, he's being played a lot more, and the algorithm is favoring that. People are looking up how to play the Human Torch, Human Torch guide, shit like that. And with that, I'm going to be making a Human Torch guide, much like my Thor guide from a couple months ago. I really don't like making informational content that's half done, so I'm really going to put some effort into it and make it easy to understand for players of every skill level, because he is quite hard to pick up. I do plan on learning other heroes on a really deep level and potentially making guides on them as well, but I don't want to be the creator that just makes guides on every heroes that they only play for like a week. So before my Thor guide, I had at least 100 hours on the hero, and I feel like that's kind of the bare minimum that I need to have personally to say that I've truly mastered the hero enough to inform someone else on them. I know spamming guide content really does well, but I'd rather actually help people rather than just farm ad revenue on a hero that I have no intention of ever actually playing. But yeah, my final thoughts. I think Thor is in a pretty bad spot, but that's nothing new for us Thor mains, and I think we'll be just fine. There may be additional changes coming, but I highly doubt it. And I think Thor is just meant to be bottom of the barrel at this point, which is fine. Someone has to be there. I think the game is in a pretty good state right now, but ranked play should be taken with a grain of salt as a solo queue player. It's really not worth tilting over at all, and it's pretty much the joke and laughing stock of, every competitive ranked system I've ever played. But yeah, hope y'all are doing well. If you made it this far in the video, I want to see you win. Peace.
VIP.